Guys, it is time to tear this thing apart, mainly on the mechanicals. I'm going to show you guys what the game plan is and see if I can make it happen. Alright, one of the issues that I have with this truck is the steering. As you can see, there's your steering servo, or scale terms, gearbox. Now, we have a driver's side steering wheel, which runs through a sector shaft down to a steering gearbox, which is also on the driver's side. Why is it on the passenger side? Well, because there's a motor that's supposed to go in here. Which leads me to this, the transfer case. This has got a forward drop on it. That's not Toyota. What the heck, RC four-wheel drive? So, this thing is going to get some modifications. And, yeah, which brings me to another point. Look at the driveline angles. That's horrible. The game plan here is I'm going to flip the transfer case over to the other side. There's a little shaft deal I can do with this. Probably going to get rid of this and put an actual drive shaft in there. The servo is going to go over, and I'm going to correct what should have been correct from the factory. One more quick issue that I have with the steering servo being over here. With the diff being on this side, they actually hit. So when you compress this, you can actually see a mark. See if I can get it in the camera. You can see a little bit of it right there. It actually hits the steering servo horn. Bad design. I'm going to fix it. I've got the servo out, and it may never go in again. I'm fixing to get started moving the transmission over to the other side. And I've got these parts right here that I made that should allow me to do that. It should allow me to move the transmission over to this side. I'm going to flip this over to here, and then I'll get in on the transfer case. I've got the transmission out and decided to open it up and check out the transmission. I gotta say, this thing is beefy. Very pleased with the beef in here, and it's got some grease in it. And considering this truck is not going to be driven very much, more like a shelf queen, you know, kind of that, I'm just going to put it back together. One of the nice things about this transmission is obviously this nice motor plate here. It's nice, aluminum, and you can obviously clock it. So all I'm going to do with this is just simply unbolt it and clock this over to the other side to mirror where it's at right now. And then I'll put my new pieces on here and see if this thing goes back in place. Okay, so the transmission is now moved over. My brackets did fit. I did have to file on them a little bit to make them go. But everything is pretty much in position now. I'm going to go ahead and put the spur and the motor mount on, and looks like I'm going to be taking the transfer case off pretty quick. So I've got the transfer case out just by removing the 4 bolts right here and the set screws that hold the drive shaft on. Nice and simple. I'm going to pull those 2 screws out and remove those, and then I'll show you guys the inside of the transfer case, and I'm just simply going to flip this around. And at that point, I should be able to put the transfer case in the opposite direction. Okay, I've got the screws out. Let's open this up here. Nice grease. Gears are very nice. Actually, pretty happy with that. Now let's see. Remove this. Flip this over. And then I pick this up, put this back into position, and that's it. That is it. All I got to do now is put the screws back in, and the transfer case is reversed. Okay, so the transmission has been switched. Transfer case has also been swapped. As you can see the angle there, I will need a drive shaft to go in between there. But look at the angles down here. That is nice. Nice and straight. Back has still got a little bit of angle, but that's actually not bad at all compared to what it was. And here to here, now this does turn a little bit faster than this. For a high usage truck, this may actually be an issue as far as the spins go here, because there is a slight gear reduction like I mentioned. But what I have for that is a Traxxas TRX4 drive shaft that I may very well just cut down and put in place. I mean, I have no other use for it, right? Cut the thing down, stick it in there. Okay, I've got the center drive shaft in. Angles aren't as bad as I thought they would be. But I will tell you guys, it was a lot of work to get that thing to go. It was way more than I thought. Get you guys up close there. I had to get this a little better. I had to trim the output end after the hole. I had to trim the input end on the outside of the hole. I had to trim the flats where the drive shaft goes together. And then obviously a lot of trimming in here. So luckily this is not a high horsepower build. It's just a scaler that's gonna, you know, cruise around a little bit. I think this is gonna work just fine. These Driveline angles right here are just so much better. And when I get the servo put in, I'm gonna have to switch this around. Hopefully I won't have to do any notching. Get it where you can see it. And flip this over. And I should be able to get my steering alignment where it needs to be. Servo in. As you can see, I've got the servo in, and I've also done a little bit of an upgrade. It has a Trackstar TS 910 servo, and it is correctly on the driver's side. Also, now when the suspension compresses, it doesn't hit the differential, which is actually a really good thing. Why it wasn't over here from the factory, I honestly don't know. But anyway, that is how it looks from the top. Actually, pretty darn good. Also notice, I found a second hole a little bit in on the servo arm. This is a stock servo arm, by the way. So as with all my other scalers, I moved this in to give this a little bit more leverage against the wheels and tires. Granted, I don't think it's going to need it. I mean, this is a lightweight little easy truck to drive. As you can see, the motor to the right side and the servo to the left fits really good. I actually like it a lot better. Now it actually looks scale with, you know, driver's side on there, or driver's side steering box. Let me get that right. But as far as motors go, I don't really have a lot of brushed motors in stock. A buddy of mine, Wally David, gave me this motor. This is a Buds 27 turn stock motor from, I think, the early 90s. It runs really good, so I have no issues with it. I doubt it's going to be the final motor for this truck. So post up and let me know what 540 size motor you'd like to see in this truck. Maybe the Holmes, or even an Integy, or who knows. Post up in the comments and let me know what kind of motor you want, and I'll see if I can make that happen. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. I did have to file on the servo like I mentioned earlier, but it fit with no modifications. I have a lot more travel up front, so in case I happen to jump this thing 50 feet in the air, no, it'll never happen. Maybe a crash though. But yeah, I'm absolutely happy with how this conversion has worked out, even with the angle on the drive shaft from transmission to transfer case. I am liking this truck finally. Just for the heck of it, let's see how it's going to sound here.